Okay, so I've got this ribeye steak that's only got a couple days left on it before the use by date. So I gotta use it. I want to use it tonight. I'm not really in the mood to make a steak. I watched some Gordon Ramsay videos about how to make a perfect ribeye. Blah, 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 blah. I wanted to make something a little more flavorful that didn't just involve the steak. So I found a recipe for Korean beef, which I'm going to try to make. Laney, of course, she's wandering around here. She's very curious about this because it's beef. Laney, what are you doing? Hey, get over here. Come here. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do now. The first part of this recipe, which I will link down below, is to thinly slice a ribeye steak. Some might call this sinful, but I'm going to go ahead and try to do that. Very thin slices. I'll tell you what, this recipe looks delicious. I have a nice new set of knives that I'm very proud of. And I'm going to go ahead and there's Laney getting excited. I'm going to go ahead and finish slicing this and then come back with the next step, which is to make a marinade. Okay, the next step is to make the marinade. Hi, Laney. Yeah, I got nothing for you. Which looks pretty involved, so I'm going to use a blitzer to do this. You're supposed to put half an onion in here. I'm going to puree all this. Calls for 3 cloves of garlic. I've got small ones, so I'm going to put 4. About half a spring onion. Get that in there. Calls for 3 tablespoons of brown sugar. Of course, on keto, you cannot use brown sugar, so you have to use Swerve or something like that. The Swerve actually makes a brown sugar substitute with erythritol, so I'm going to go ahead and put 3 tablespoons of that. We also need a 1/3 cup of soy sauce, and I'm probably blocking that now. 1/3 cup of soy sauce, and 3 tablespoons of sesame oil, which seems like a lot, but we'll see how that works. Finally, the recipe calls for half a pear. We also can't eat pears on keto because pears are high in sugar. So I'm going to look for something that I can do to kind of just substitute the texture. And so I'm going to put in, we'll see how this works, a little bit of cucumber. So this all needs to go into the blender and get pureed, and then we'll see how that comes out. Okay, I got my beef. We've got the puree. This doesn't look as brown as the puree in the recipe video, but I'm going to put this in there. And then because I think that needs to be a little browner, I'm going to go ahead and take a risk and add a little bit of liquid aminos, brown that up a little bit, give that a mix. It's a nice marinade. You probably should be getting my hands in there and getting dirty, but I'm not going to because I don't feel like it. And normally if I don't feel like doing something, I won't do it. So that's going to be good to go. And you're also supposed to cover this with cellophane. I'm not going to do that either. Looks wet enough to me. Just going to put that in the fridge for a little while, let that chill and marinate at least a half hour, and then get cooking. Okay, now as we go through the cooking part of this, I'm going to note a couple of things I would do differently the next time. One of them is I put in a little too much cooking oil. I wanted to get sort of a deep fry on this beef, and so I put quite a bit of coconut oil on there, and as you'll see in a minute, I also added some avocado oil. That turned out to be too much. The recipe called for a tablespoon of cooking oil, and that probably would be about right, because the recipe kind of drowned in the oil here a little bit. I also noted, if you saw, I called a foul on myself for too much salt. One of the interesting things about cooking with a cast iron skillet is that it absorbs the flavors that you use in it. And I've cooked with salt. I've cooked salty dishes in there before. I also wash the skillet with salt sometimes. So the skillet itself was salty. Then you add the aminos and the soy sauce, and it was a little too salty as well. One other issue here, and this was not my doing, I was following the recipe. The recipe makes too much of the marinade. If I do this again, and I probably will because it was pretty tasty, I would only make enough marinade to coat the beef. I think if I didn't have all that marinade, you wouldn't see this, which is a little too much in the pot, crowding the pan rather, the skillet. But I did my best to try to get a good fry on it. You'll see that this was after 10 minutes or so. It started to turn a darker brown, looked pretty nice. Don't worry about overcooking the beef here. It's going to be well done, and as you can see at the end, was quite crisp, which I actually enjoyed. I've already plated it, that's why you see those big empty spots. And that's what it looks like. You garnish that with some spring onion and with some sesame seeds. And it's ready to go. And this was a little overwhelmed by the oil and the salt. But when it dried out a little bit, I'll tell you what, there's good flavors there, but you don't want to have to cook them out. So that's why I'm going to be a little more careful the next time. Here's the real taste test, the one that matters, and that's Laney. And I'll tell you what, she had no trouble at all with any of the salt or the grease. She just wolfed that thing down. Now you're going to see Laney do her little her little Laney dance here, where she kind of backs up. There she goes, right? And now she's looking at my eyes. She's looking at my hands. She's looking at my eyes. Hey, Dad, what else you got? Looking at my hands. Yep, this is one way to get her attention. Now remember the Laney the Keto Dog rating system: 1 bark bad, 2 barks nah, not great, 3 barks not bad, 4 barks quite good, 5 barks Laney wants to cook it herself. She wishes she had thumbs. Sorry about the feedback there. That was 3 barks, not 6. So we have a 3 bark meal. Not great, not bad at all. I'll try again some other time with some tweaks. Hope you enjoy, and we'll see you again next time.